Welcome to Bet On It's week 16 of the NFL. I am Kelly Stewart. Let's bring in Joe Raineri and Marco D'Angelo of WagerTalk.com. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and what else am I missing? Happy week 16 of NFL, guys. I'm losing it. It's time to break out the eggnog, and I still got many more shows to do after this one. Marco wouldn't dress up for Christmas. Joe did a wardrobe change from the college show, thank God, so I don't have to listen to those bells anymore. I would highly recommend not watching that episode because you didn't miss anything other than a bunch of jingling. Marco Grinch, week 16, NFL, Thursday night, prime time. Oh, yeah, another just doozy of a game. The Jacksonville Jaguars, 1-point underdog at the New York Jets. Total 37.5. Our boy Zach Wilson's back. No? Nobody's excited?
Kelly, this game has playoff implications. Come on, tell me you're not excited for Jacksonville and the Jets. I know Joe's excited about it. He's going to be glued to the TV Thursday night.
Glued.
With lots of alcohol.
I need a reason to watch games like this, and it's probably because I'm going to have the under because, I'm self-deprecating like that. A lot of people hate that I bet all these unders in primetime, but they just keep cashing, so I'm probably going to keep doing it.
Well, Kelly, we look at this one, and I'll admit, Jets let me down last week. I thought they would get the job done. I know the fashionable team of late is the Detroit Lions, and that's who the Jets played last week. But I got to tell you, the Jets, minus 2 plays, outplayed Detroit last week. They had the lead at the end of the game. The 2 plays I'm talking about, one was the punt return. Obviously, a breakdown in special teams. Detroit gets the score. And then at the end of the game, and a great play call. 3rd and 1, and he sold that play. He had the entire Jet defense going one way, and he throws a 3rd and 1 pass across the middle the other direction. There wasn't a player in sight to make the tackle there, and he went on for the touchdown and the go-ahead victory for the Lions in the final minute of that game. This Jet defense is for real. Like I said, minus those couple plays, I don't see Jacksonville being able to move the football this week. I know they came back against Dallas, but we've seen this story before with Dallas. Dallas had a big lead on Jacksonville. Will the Jets have a big lead on Jacksonville? No, because the offense is not built that way. But whatever lead they do have a defense that's built to hold it. And we're looking at a number where we basically just got to win this game. I'm going to do it. I'm taking the Jets. Thursday night football, short week, playing at home against a team that you don't play twice a year. That's a huge advantage for the home team. I'll go ahead and take the Jets on Thursday night. Let's call it 23-17.
Joe, resident Jet fan here on Bet On It. What say you?
So I have figured out a way to deal with these primetime games, and it's perfect, and you guys know this. Simply bet the first half, so then once it's over, you don't have to waste any more of your night having to sit through that dreck of a primetime game, which is, this game is going to be. I mean, it's nice to see that a Jacksonville organization, a New York Jets organization, here we are, week 16, they're playing for something, right? I mean, this is good stuff. Both of these teams are heading in the right direction. But when you go down to it, listen, it's a pick 'em. It's a pick 'em for a reason. The total has come down. It's not going to be a great weather atmosphere here. We can pull out a million different trends and numbers showing that both of these teams, this might end up in a 0-0 tie. But I'm going to opt not to go 0-0 tie. I'm going to opt to go Zach Wilson, who, by the way, did not play terrible last week. He was not the reason they lost that game to Detroit. But they did handle defensively. They handled a Detroit squad that was averaging close to 4 touchdowns a game. They only gave up 20 there. Quinnen Williams, they say, is a game-time decision. That is huge for the Jets, guys, and I'll tell you why. Cam Robinson, the left tackle, the blindside tackle for the Jags, is out. They lost him last week. He's out for the season, guys, with a MCL injury. This is the guy that has been protecting Trevor Lawrence, not only all season this year, but some of last year too as well. And he was damn good. He's one of the best left tackles in the business. Now all of a sudden he's not going to be there. And now Trevor Lawrence, if Quinnen Williams is active and he's available for this game, they're going to get some pressure on Trevor, and then hold on, anything is possible. I don't want to have to sit through this full game. So as usual, Cal, I'm only going to look at the first half, and I'm going to look towards the Jets to come out on top in this first half. I think it's a half a point right now that they were getting. It keeps flip-flopping between even and a half a point. But the Jets have actually started much better early in games than Jacksonville has. And I think the Jets being at home in this spot, a little more comfort level there for Zach Wilson. Plus, Corey Davis, I think, is back for this game as well. So another one of his favorite weapons. I'm not asking for much. 7-0 at the break. I trust the defense of the Jets to limit the damage Jacksonville can do early in this game more than I trust Jacksonville's defense. So I'm going to go with the Jets in the first half on the money line.
Yeah, minus 125. It looks like pretty much on the WagerTalk odds screen on the money line there, or you could lay the half, minus 110. Joe, I'm going to kick it right back to you. We have a slew of Saturday games, but we're going to have the nightcap. Las Vegas at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh, anywhere between 2.5 and 3-point favorites. Kind of bounced around a little bit there. 39.5 as the total. This one was in contention for my best bet, Joe. I was very, very close to pulling the trigger on Pittsburgh, but Marco may or may not have talked me off of it.
Yeah, well, I tried talking Marco into Pittsburgh last week, but he wanted nothing to do with it. And don't worry about it. It's not like Steeler fans heard it and texted me and was like, what is up with Marco? I thought what is he, a fake Steeler fan? But that's a whole different discussion, Marco. The bottom line is love Pittsburgh getting Pickett back here. Also just unbelievably sad and tragic news learning of Franco Harris's passing earlier today. Just terrible news. So much was going into the celebration of the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception. They were going to retire his number at this game. I mean, there was so much surrounding, so much good energy for the Steelers in this game this weekend. Plus, they got Pickett back. And then we learn of the passing. So just tragic across the board there. Now we've got Derek Carr that still is trying to figure out, how did they win that game against New England? What was the whole thing there? That was an overtime game. That was it should have been an overtime game, but there was a lot of effort and energy on that Raiders team to come back in that game in the second half and get it to a point where they could tie it. So now they got to travel cross country, come here to Pittsburgh to take on a team that is going to be very emotional. It's going to be an unbelievable day for the fans there. This is a tough spot for Derek Carr and company. If it's one thing, though, that I've learned about this Raider team, there is no NFL team worse in the second half with a lead than the Raiders. I don't know what it is with Josh McDaniel. All he likes to do is play scared when he's in front. And it's cost a lot of people a whole lot of money back in the Raiders as they have these double-digit leads and then watch them go bye-bye. I don't have the confidence. Well, actually, I do have the confidence and Marco can speak to this. Last year, I believe the Raiders, in similar weather, very cold weather, they went to Pittsburgh, and I think they actually pulled the upset in the game last year, the Raiders did. So as much as we want to make that Derek Carr is not going to be able to handle the cold and he's not great yet, all of those things are true, but you don't have to look too far back to see some success that they have had at Pittsburgh in this kind of weather. I don't want anything to do with this game. So much unknown now with the passing of Franco Harris, but I will say, and I liked it prior to all of this, any sort of Raider use in a teaser is one leg up and over a touchdown, 8.5. I mean, the total is what, 37 and a half, some there. If I can get over a touchdown with the Raiders in a teaser, I wouldn't mind using them as a leg in a few of them.
Marco, I'm with Joe. I already did tease the Raiders, and that was kind of another reason why I stayed off Pittsburgh. I was trying to figure out whether it was going to be Trubisky or whether it was going to be Pickett. But you know what? I am willing to bet on Mike Tomlin. He has been such a great coach in certain situations, and now you got Pittsburgh standing there going, holy crap, are we going to have our first losing season in almost 2 decades? So something else to kind of play in there. Ultimately, I decided to stay away from this game, but I need to know my resident Steelers fans' opinion here.
Okay, Kelly, full disclosure, as you know, we send our games in at night. Well, I send my games in overnight to Slack with what we're doing. The rest of you guys come in the morning. That's okay. I had the Raiders in this game, okay? And when I woke up this morning and got the news about Franco, I changed it. This is going to be an emotional scene in Pittsburgh. And all I got to do is go back to last year. And Kelly, I don't want to bring up bad memories, but I was there with you. We had all kinds of teasers on the Cleveland Browns, that Monday night game, the final home game in Ben Roethlisberger's career. And we know what happened, the scene there with Pittsburgh. Now you take the one man that changed Pittsburgh sports history. The Steelers were a laughingstock until the Immaculate Reception. That was the first playoff win. It sparked over the next 6 years after that. They lost the following week in the AFC Championship game, but it sparked 4 Super Bowls in a 6-year period. And over that 4-year period before Franco got there, they started the franchise with a number 1 draft pick on Mean Joe Green, then Terry Bradshaw the following year. Jack Ham was the second pick in 71, and Franco Harris was the first-round pick in 72. The Steeler franchise never been the same after that. They changed history for the Steelers. So for the first time ever, I am going to play Homer here on the show. I've reversed my pick from the Raiders to Pittsburgh just because of that and everything that was planned going into that game. And as far as the Raiders playing in Pittsburgh, Joe, you were correct. They did win there last year as an underdog. However, that game was in late September, early October, totally different situation weather-wise. But the reason I was going to go against Pittsburgh so that I put it out there on so you guys can make your own decision is although Pittsburgh does have that record going about no losing seasons under Mike Tomlin, the teams the Steelers have beat this year, and they're sitting with a record of 6 wins. They beat Cincinnati in week 1. Now, Cincinnati's a good team. It's a division rival. 2 things. They were +5 in turnovers in that game, and that was the first game for Joe Burrow after he missed the entire preseason because of having his appendix taken out. The other win they had, Tampa Bay. At the time, we thought that was good. Tampa's not good. Not only did they beat Tampa Bay, but they did a complete sweep of the NFC South. They got all 4 wins against the NFC South. And then their other win was against Indianapolis. Do I have to say any more about the Indianapolis Colts? So the Steelers really don't own any true quality wins. I don't know that the Raiders would be either of what we've seen from them, but I think the Raiders bring a better football team in to Saturday's game. And that's why I was originally on the Raiders, and I was going to agree this is a definite teaser candidate. I still think it's a teaser candidate, but for this game itself, I can't pull the trigger on the Raiders at +2.5. I think somehow the Steelers are going to find a way to win on this very special day that has new meaning now for the Immaculate Reception and the 50th anniversary as this game was planned. And this is all the NFL planning this because the Steelers played the Raiders at home last year. They're not division rivals. They shouldn't be playing them in Pittsburgh again. They did this just because of the anniversary.
I do love that. And always a great angle there from Marco. Now we've got a Sunday night primetime game here on the Christmas week. And it's not a very good one. Tampa Bay, 6.5-point favorites, total 41.5 at Arizona. Marco even inserted the vomit emoji into the script this week. So we know how he feels about this one. Marco, I watched this Tampa Bay team blow up 2-score lead last week, and it was Shocking. Very shocking, in fact, because you don't see Tom Brady-led teams traditionally do that, but we've seen the Tampa Bay team do that several times this year. And laying a touchdown or even a touchdown in the hook on the road is not something that I'm in the business of doing. But we got to talk about this game because it's on Sunday night.
Yeah, Kelly, and what I've got to ask, the fact that it is Christmas Day and we are subject to watching this game, one of the two of you, was it you or was it Joe? One of you were on Santa's naughty list that got us this lump of coal in our stocking for Christmas, because I know it wasn't me, all right? This is a game that I just got to say, I am not going to be watching. Okay? No bones about it. I'll find something. If I got to watch It's a Wonderful Christmas for the 800th time, that'll be more entertaining than this game. This is a spot, though, that I am going to look to the total. And I know the knee-jerk reaction screams you got to take the under. Where are the points going to come from with these two offenses? Plus the fact Colt McCoy questionable for the game as well with a concussion. You got all those sidebars. I'm looking at it this way. The Arizona defense is not good. Tampa Bay's defense has not been good lately. Tom Brady has got to be in one pissed off mood after what happened last week. 4 turnovers in a game. That was one of the worst games I've seen from Tom Brady. And I know we're seeing the sun start to set on his career. I don't want to make it, premature, but, he's closer to the finish line than not. I just look for him to have a big game in this one. But I'm like you, Kelly. There's no way with this Tampa Bay team that I can lay over a touchdown on the road. So how do I find it? Where do I find to go with this play? Yeah, you could do the old teaser, get them down to say Tampa Bay just win the game. But I'll be honest with you, I don't trust them. And as far as Arizona goes, what do they have to lose? Cliff Kingsbury, if he's back next year, I give up. I don't know how he could possibly be retained for another year after what we saw this year. So he's got nothing to lose. He's going to roll the dice. Any fourth in anything close to it, why not go for it? And when you do that, Kelly, one of two things can happen. It's either going to work or it ain't. And both of them point to helping the over. If it works, the drive keeps going. If it doesn't work, the other team gets good field position. I'm going to go ahead and take this one over the total, and let's look for just a fun scoring game that nothing to do on a Christmas night other than sling the football around a little bit. Let's go over 41 for my play here.
Joe, Marco mentioned it. 69 points. That's what the Tampa Bay defense has given up over the last 2 games. And yet another reason why I cannot touch that side. You and I talk about primetime totals a lot, particularly those unders. But most of those come on Monday and Thursday nights. Sunday nights have not necessarily been profitable for unders. Do you agree with Marco on the over here?
I disagree with Marco from the standpoint of there's nothing else going on, so why not watch this game? Actually, there's a lot of drinking that will be going on, Marco, and the more we drink, the less I'm going to watch this game because it's going to be that I don't want to throw it up in the middle of it here. Listen. You could not ask for a worse game. The Bucs are in the middle of this, I think, 110-1 ATS streak right now. Tom Brady can't cover anything. The Bucs have been absolutely atrocious. And we already know Arizona's got nothing to play for here, except sticking it to Tom Brady, which is always enough motivation for teams to be like, hey, go this, okay, my friend? So I do think we're going to get a spirited effort. But when I dug into the numbers too, Cal, there is a team that scores less in the first half than Arizona this year. Arizona averaging about 10 points in the first half a game. Tampa Bay and Tom, 8. So you want to talk about points hard to come by early in games. They are really hard to come by, especially on the road for Tom Brady and company. I don't know how you come back from that debacle last week. I mean, the pressure is on. You got to travel now to Arizona to take on a team that's got nothing to play for, and you haven't been able to cover anything now all year long. So what makes us think all of a sudden there's going to be this spirited effort coming out of the gate? I think if Tom is going to win this game and Tampa is going to get the W, it's going to happen late. It's going to come in the second half and not before Arizona puts a scare into them early here. So I'm going to back Arizona in the first half. They've covered the last 3 first halves. They were terrible early on in the season. They were a better second half team. These last 3 games, they've been much better covering in the first half. I think they do it again here. And then hold on, because we'll see if Tom Brady has any magic left in the second half of this one.
Speaking of magic, it's time to take a commercial break because, well, I need a break. These two are absolutely and utterly exhausting.
First time tuning into WagerTalk TV? How would you like a one-day all-access picks pass for only $1? Well, we have you covered. Bet On It gets 100,000 plus downloads, views, and listens each and every week across all platforms. From YouTube to Spotify, from Apple TV to iHeartRadio. So there's a good chance this is the first time you are tuning in, and an even better chance that you have not experienced the professional handicappers at WagerTalk and Sports Memo. And we want to change that. Whether you are new to sports betting or just tired of the game of the year and 100-unit locks, we have you covered. We leave all that nonsense for the other guys, as you won't find that here. As the most popular show on WagerTalk TV, we'd like to offer all Bet On It viewers that have not made a purchase at WagerTalk.com or SportsMemo.com this special offer. Use coupon WIN1 on a $39 one-day all-access pass and get it for only $1. So to all first-time users, just use coupon code WIN1 to get your first ever purchase at WagerTalk or SportsMemo for only $1. And welcome to the family.
Welcome back to Bet On It. It's now time for some TNA. The man with the pin, Ralph Michaels. Merry Christmas, Ralph. It sounds like you have a nice little special for us over at WagerTalk.com.
Yeah, you know, Cal, I guess we should have synced. If you were going to wear red, I should have worn green or vice versa. You know, the NFL's been the gift that has kept giving this year. Another 3-1 NFL weekend. This season, regular season, entire season in the NFL, 41, 17-3, 70.7%. 7 straight winning football 5% plays, and my NFL totals 12-2, 86%. I will be having a 5% this week, and I have a special loaded on my homepage. It's called the Weekend Warrior. No coupon needed, but you can sign up today, get Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for $49. So as soon as I load my football plays, you will get them and be able to get the best lines. So if you want a 3-day access where you pick the days, that's the 3-day all access. If you want Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this week, including all my NFL, you do the Weekend Warrior special for $49.
Love that, Ralph. NFL season has been fast and furious, and you've been kicking ass. So very, very happy for you. I need to get a winner this weekend, Ralph. Last weekend's push with my best bet was a frustrating one. It sounds like you've got some TNA to maybe back it up.
Well, we know there was a historic comeback with the Vikings last week. In fact, the database goes back to 1989. The biggest halftime comeback in the database was 24 points. But that was too small of a sample size. So I went back and I looked back since 2012. When teams are down by 11 points or more at halftime and come back and win, they have only gone 28-50, 35.9%. It makes total sense. You're down in the first half, you're down by at least 2 scores, you have a big second half, you win the game. What happens the next week? It's a letdown situation. 35.9% for those teams that come back like that. There were actually 3 second-half comebacks last week. We know about the Vikings. They're playing the Giants. The Jags against the Jets. And the Bengals against the Patriots. So all 3 of those teams are in a fade situation. And we know the Vikings game went to overtime. So how about this? The same premise. If you won at home in overtime and now you're a favorite, like the Vikings are, you have gone 25 and 42, 37.3%. So the Vikings fit both situations. Fade them because they were down at 11, and fade them because they won at home, and now they're the favorite. Well, let's see, Cal. Who are the Vikings playing this week? That would be the Giants. So listen to this system. If you were a dog and now you're an away dog of under 5, so you're a small away dog against a non-division foe, you scored less than 21 points and your previous game went under. Those teams like the Giants, 70.4%, 38 wins, 16 losses, and that says to play on the New York Giants. Now, the first 3, 2 say fade the Vikings, 1 says play on the Giants. I did not go through and plan that. Those are just the systems I pulled out, and they worked out that way. 2 more I want to mention before we get to your nerd chart, Kelly. You won as a dog. 2 games ago, you won as an away dog, and now you're on the road. This goes back to 2007. Well, let's see. The Jaguars, 2 weeks ago, won as an away dog. Last week, the Jaguars won as a dog. This week, they're on the road. Those teams, 16 wins, 39 losses. That's 29.1%. That says to fade the Jags and play on the New York Jets. 5th and final system, you're an away favorite that previously won at home. And last week, your opponent was at home and allowed 400-plus yards. So, away favorite, the Bills. The Bills won at home last game. The Bears were at home last game and allowed over 400 yards. This situation says to play on Buffalo, 20 ATS wins, 8 ATS losses, 71.4%. So first 3, fade Minnesota, Jacksonville, and Bengals. Second system, fade Minnesota. Third system, play on the Giants. Fourth system, fade the Jags. 5th and final system says to play on Buffalo.
I love that for my best bet little sneak preview, not planned by Ralph and I, but that helps me really be able to give that best bet a nice push. Ralph Michaels, you got an interesting nerd chart here. I just popped it up on the Slack channel, and tell me what made you think to come up with this one.
Well, you know, back 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, we often handicapped totals and sides by grass and turf. Well, we know the grass has been a lot better in situations as happened. So, Dan, if you could throw up the chart, I'm going to walk through it. The top chart is grass on the left, artificial turf on the right by season. So let's look at that last line. You see that grass over-unders, 46.5% to the over. Artificial turfs, 48.8% to the over. So a 2.3% more unders on grass than on artificial. But I just wanted to break down year by year. There's not much data there, but with the exception of this, look at the last 2 years on grass. In 2021, grass over-unders, 42.7%. This year so far, grass over-unders, 43.1%. The real take out of this is the bottom of the chart. You'll see it's over-under grass versus turf by month. In September, over-unders on grass, 49.3%. Does that make sense? Sure. The weather's good. The grass is stable. We don't have weather issues, so over-unders on grass, 49.3%. Look at artificial turf. Perhaps the lines are too high in September. We overestimate them, and they're under. But the rest of the years, October, November, and December, look at those month-by-month grass situations. In October, grass over-unders 43.7. In November, 45.2. In December, 46.9. Does that make sense? Absolutely. Inclement weather, rain, snow, mud, it slows the game down. Look at the right, artificial turf. In October, 49.8. November, 51.3. December, 50.5. While those aren't wow numbers, the percentage is much higher later in the year on artificial turf. And one quick reason can be this. On artificial turf, we often talk about slick turfs. It's an advantage to the receiver. They know where they're going. The DBs don't. You have more broken plays. So this is one that makes total sense to me. September is not what you expect. Grass is actually better to the over. Turf actually better to the under. The rest of the year, grass to the under, artificial turfs at least to the 50% mark on over-unders.
Gotta love Ralph and all those trends and angles, especially those nerd charts. Ralph, thank you so much. As always, make sure you guys are following Ralph at CalSportsLV on Twitter. Now it's time to kick it back.
Happy holidays and Merry Christmas, guys. Sorry, Kelly.
No worries. Thanks, Ralph. Now it's time to kick it back to Marco and Joe. See if we can't cash a few more of those teasers before the year ends. Monday Night Football teaser, at least one leg got there with the Packers. Marco, I did tease them with the Raiders. And, of course, the Eagles prior to the Jalen Hurts news. So definitely one of those legs may be a little painful. Is that the really only teaser leg that is an option this week outside of Tampa Bay? We got to really tease the Raiders and the Bucs?
No, Kelly. I had that same teaser on Monday with Green Bay, but I took mine with the Baltimore Ravens. So I already have a ticket with the Ravens, just asking them to win at home against Atlanta, who is in free fall right now. And so that's going to be one of my legs here for the show. Atlanta can't score right now. They're having trouble with stopping people as well. I'm going to go ahead and take Baltimore, tease them down to 1.5. And then the other one, I'm going to go against a popular team. Everybody's darling right now, the Detroit Lions. Are you kidding me? A road favorite with the Detroit Lions in a small, low total? No, I'm not doing that. And Carolina has been consistent. They play good defense. Now, granted, last week, Pittsburgh got the win over them and got it by double digits, but I don't see Detroit doing that. I know Detroit's got a good offense, but this is a team that historically has played poorly on the road. And as we said in the Jet game, it was 2 plays that got Detroit over the hump last week. Can you count on a 3rd and 1 going to the house? And can you count on a punt return to bail you out? No, I'm not looking for that this week. I'm going to take Baltimore and I'm going to take Carolina as my 2-team teaser. Get me Carolina up over the 3, 4, 6, and 7 in a total that's only at 43.5.
I don't hate it. Thursday night for me, Joe, can now get a 7.5 with the good old Jacksonville Jaguars. They've been good to me this year. Low total. And I kind of like that Carolina Panthers pick there from Marco over the touchdown there. Who is your teaser for NFL Week 16, Joe?
Well, we talked about the Raiders already. I'm going to use them in one leg, get them at 8.5 at this point against the Steelers coming up. And I'm going to turn to the 49ers and everyone's favorite new quarterback, Brock Purdy. Listen, 7.5 right now, I think is where we're looking, and he's still a rookie quarterback. I don't think there's any doubt. This is a tough sled here for Washington. Losing to the Giants the way they did. Now they got to go on the road with a backup quarterback in Taylor Heineke and do the unthinkable. Go do what a lot of other teams have not been able to do, and that is to upend this San Francisco team. I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game. I get the better team, and all I'm asking them to do is pretty much win this game by 2 or 3 there, or a field goal, which I think they're more than capable of doing here. So I've got no problem backing the 49ers and bringing them down from 7.5 to 1 or 1.5, depending on what you can get here, and couple them with the 8.5 on the Raiders. So Raiders and 49ers for me.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, is the deli back open? You can hear Coco snoring, so you know it's time for some barking dogs. And who's too high today?
In the spirit of the holidays, we want you to celebrate with your favorite WagerTalk or Sports Memo handicappers and do it at a discount by giving you a one-time 25% off everything you can fit into your cart between now and midnight on December 25th. using coupon code GIFT25 when checking out. While this coupon can only be used once at WagerTalk and once at Sports Memo, the value is unlimited and there is no limit on what you can add to your cart when redeeming. Daily, all access, season, pick your team, and even mix and match handicappers as the combinations are endless. Remember, there is no limit to the number of handicappers at WagerTalk and Sports Memo you can lock in, but coupon code GIFT25 will expire at midnight on Christmas. On behalf of everyone at WagerTalk, Sports Memo, and Gold Sheet, we want to thank you for supporting us in 2022 by watching our videos, following us on social media, and trusting us with your wagers. However you celebrate, we wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Welcome back to Bet On. It's about that time. My stomach is growling, so that must mean it's time for the sandwich game of the week.
Well, Kelly, the deli is open, and last week I served you up an ugly one. This one, a little bit more tasty, but if you saw the ending of their game last week, I don't know if you got your appetite back yet or not. We're going to go with the New England Patriots for our sandwich game of the week, and what we're looking at here is the Cincinnati Bengals. I tell you, you talk about a run of big games. In horse racing, we have a phrase, you can't race a horse on his toes every week, meaning you can't go full bore every week and have it not take its toll. I'm looking at Cincinnati, and I'm starting this streak where they went to Pittsburgh, big revenge game, division rival. I know the Steelers are having a bad year, but that was a big game. Then they went the following week on the road to Tennessee. At the time, Tennessee, was rolling, and that was a huge game for them. They got the win on the road. Followed that up with Kansas City at home, the team that has the number one seed currently in the AFC. Followed that up with another division revenge game against Cleveland, revenging that Monday night embarrassing loss earlier in the season. And then, what'd they do last week? They went to Tampa Bay. Now, I thought that was going to be the bad spot for them, going to Tampa and Tom Brady get the job done. Well, I was half right. I should have pulled a page out of Joe's playbook and just went with the first half. I would have been good with the Tampa Bay Bucks, but all hell broke loose in the second half, and Cincinnati rallied for the 34-23 victory. Now they got to go on the road again. This is the fourth road game in 6 weeks. But the big thing is, when you talk about a sandwich, it's not only what you're coming off of, it's what's on deck. And that's the key part to this game. They've got the Buffalo Bills up next, which could end up being, if things shake out, for the number one seed. If Kansas City stubs their toe somewhere along the way and Cincinnati beats Buffalo next week, they could sneak into the number one spot. I'm going to go against them here if the look-ahead spot, and then let's look at New England. Would you like to be a player for the New England Patriots this week? Could you imagine what the locker room was like here in Vegas? I live about 15 minutes away from the stadium. I think I heard Belichick yelling. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure it was him. Could you imagine the plane ride home? Could you imagine practice all week? This team is going to be wound tighter than a drum. And did I mention? Yeah, it is a must-win for them, but they're the underdog. We always talk about these must-win situations and how they're bad plays generally because you are paying a premium to take that team. We have the dog here. We're not paying a premium. And not only is it a must-win, but it's one of those must-wins with an asterisk. I've talked about this on shows. If it's win and you're in, that's a whole different story. I love going against those teams because it's all around that game. This team needs to win, but they need help as well. And those teams fare better, in my opinion, because they don't control their own destiny. I'm taking New England here to get the job done against Cincinnati. Calling for the upset, 24-23. Give me my sandwich game of the week on the Pats.
Marco, I never like to correct you, but I actually read on Twitter that Bill Belichick pulled a page out of your book and just hasn't spoken to the team. Just completely dead to rights, silent, didn't even yell, just walked out, was just like straight anger. Mac Jones, on the other hand, I heard a different story. But that being said, I agree with you. I like the Pats. I definitely consider them as my best bet, but I still have that under 8.5 wins ticket I need to cash. So maybe I just take the plus 3.5 and hope it ends on a last-minute field goal. Joe Raineri, are you high?
Yeah, but well, give me about 10 minutes. The game. You mean the game? The game this week is absolutely not going to be high enough as far as I'm concerned, and we're going to look at the Giants and Minnesota here. 47.5, and this is actually up because this was around 46.5 to start the week. But the money is coming towards the over. And listen, it makes sense. I mean, Minnesota's got, hovering just around dead last in a ton of defensive statistical categories here. The Giants, who have dropped 20 on the Washington team, who have statistically one of the better defenses in the NFL, only giving up around 19.5 points a game. They're going to have a much easier time putting points on the board against this Minnesota team. And listen, they're not going to lay down here. They're not going to try and make this a low-scoring game because they know Minnesota is capable of very quick strike offensive touchdowns and points. A la the second half last week there against Indy. Minnesota obviously doesn't want to take their foot off the gas. There's enough history there that they know they gotta keep it rolling. So if you're leaning towards the Giants in this game, and I think this is where this correlates, and I think the Giants are a live dog in this one. If you're leaning towards the Giants, I think it correlates to the over. The Giants are not going to be able to win this thing, 17-3, 17-7, something like that. I think this is going to be one of these, 28-25 type of situations. And I think this game is going up and over the total. So I agree with the market movement already this week, pushing this thing up and over. 46.5. Was not high enough for me. 47.5, not high enough for me. I think this game is going to be fun, and I think the Giants are going to have a much easier time scoring than they did against the Washington team.
All right, we'll see how much I like that one at the end of the show. Joe Raineri, I'm going to kick it right back to you. If you guys can see how cute she is, just laying over there, just snoring away the entire show. Her favorite segment, Coco in Vegas, barking dogs.
Woof. All right, so Coco, I am going to go with it's not a field goal, right? I don't think, just let me, okay, it's not a field goal because I don't want to get yelled at here, and we're going to see whose is bigger today. I'm going to go with, oh yeah, here's it is. How about the Green Bay Packers coming to my neck of the woods here at 4, but let me remind everyone, this was at one time 5.5 just to start the week there. And now all of a sudden the money is coming in on Green Bay. What? What do you mean the money's coming in? Yeah, the money is coming in on Green Bay, and I agree with it wholeheartedly. I get it. Listen, Miami, they are battling for a playoff. So is Green Bay. But styles make fights here. And I think the reason the money is coming in on Green Bay is we've got a couple of things working. Number one, you've got Miami coming off of 3 straight losses on the road. But more importantly, we're not seeing any signs of Tua being the Tua from a month ago, right? Where everyone was worried about facing this offense in Miami. They're going to drop 45 points on you, this and that. Well, the 49ers did something very interesting, I think. They laid out a blueprint of how to slow down those speedy receivers there of the Dolphins, including, Tyreek Hill and Waddle. If you guys noticed in that 49er game, they didn't have nearly as much success because they were very physical with them off the line of scrimmage. Say what you want about the run defense of Green Bay. There is none. However, Miami doesn't run the ball. That's not what they are. Tua has looked all sorts of out of whack, like a deer caught in the headlights over the last month. Why? Because he's a rhythm passer. It's a rhythm offense based upon him going 3 steps, 5 steps, 7 steps, finding the guy and throwing it. But if they're not there, as you can see here over the last month, it's been a rough go for Tua, completing just about 50% of his passes. This is not a well-oiled machine offense. They're living on what they did back in the start of the season, and people think that they're just going to snap their fingers and this happens. Of all the faults for Green Bay, they are the number 7 pass-rated defense in the NFL. They're not great at the run, but Miami doesn't run the ball all that well. They do defend the pass. They're going to defend the pass in this one. I don't think Tua is just going to snap out of it, and Miami's going to have this great 500 yards of passing day, and Hill's going to have one. I don't think so. I think this is going to be a very tight game. At the end of it, if you ask who's the better quarterback on the field, it ain't playing for Miami, guys. It's still Aaron Rodgers, mushrooms and all. I absolutely think Green Bay is live, and it looks like the market seems to be leaning that way as well. This is going to be much closer than people think, so I'm going to take Green Bay in it.
I would agree with you. Let's just hope that secondary, if you will, from the Packers gives up a few, maybe just 2 touchdowns to Tyreek Hill so that I can win my fantasy league and go to the championship versus Johnny Detroit, because he basically all but locked out Todd Furman on the waiver wire. Kind of funny how this stuff comes full circle when I request Fab and you're the only one that votes for the waiver wire, and then Johnny picked up the only available quarterback. Marco D'Angelo, who is your barking dog for this week in the NFL?
Well, Kelly, I don't have any big fantasy matches on any games this week, so I don't have to worry about outcomes. But I will root for you anytime that it's you against Johnny. I just love to, root for you and see Johnny in misery. But that's another story. Let's go here. I am looking at one for my barking dog, and sorry, Joe. Once again, mine's bigger. I've got Washington plus the 7. Hopefully we might even see 7.5 by the game time on the weekend, but I'll take that plus 7 here. And full disclosure, I was a little bit premature with going against San Francisco last week. I pulled the trigger 1 week early, and the reason for it was I said it was the injured player theory part 2, why I was going against San Francisco last week. But I didn't factor in as much stock in. It was a Thursday night game, and they could clinch the division. Now, with all of that done and everybody ready to send Brock Purdy to the Hall of Fame after just 2 games, a little bit of dose of reality comes back here. And let's go back to that Thursday night game last week against Seattle. And remember, Seattle's not the best defensive team in the NFL by a landslide. They held San Francisco to 21 points. It was first drive, quick 7 for San Francisco. It was 7-3 with a minute to go in the half. And Seattle had the ball and was moving the football towards midfield when a fumble, a scoop, almost a scoop and score, got it inside the 5, set them up for the touchdown right before the half. To make it a 14-3 game. And then the 49ers came out the start of the third quarter, and another impressive drive to start the half. Does that sound familiar with San Francisco from past history? I remember a guy, Bill Walsh, used to script plays, and they came out those first 15 plays each half. They were pretty good. Well, that's what we saw last week from San Francisco, and pretty much nothing in between. I'm going to go ahead and take Washington here. If you remember on the Monday night or Sunday night game, I should say, when we broke it down, I said to you, I was leery of Washington, and it was why I went with the Giants. Teams coming off a bye week that go into the bye week on a roll. It's a momentum stopper. And it was a momentum stopper. What was a bigger stopper was the penalty inside the 5 when the referee said, move up, and he did, and he still threw the flag. But what we're going to look at here with Washington, they are a desperate dog. I'm going to go with them plus the points. And for San Francisco, where's the motivation? Yes, they still can get the number 1 seed in the NFC, but are they going to extend themselves to do it? All they got to do is win. They don't need a margin. They don't need style points. I'm going to take Washington plus the points here. And as I said, wait till later in the week, because I think when the public gets involved before game time, there's only one way they're going to bet it. The love for the 49ers will come in. So at worst, you're going to get +7 in this game. You'll hold out, you might get a +7.5.
All right, good stuff. Marco and Joe, we're going to take a commercial break, and we're going to kick these two to the curb and bring in Ariel and Andy for Prop Shop.
The Gold Sheet wants you to end the 2022 football season on a winning note while getting a head start on planning for the next season. Founded in 1957, the Gold Sheet is the country's longest-running sports betting newsletter and has served bettors for over 6 decades. So if between 1957 and now, if you have not checked out the Gold Sheet, here's your chance to see what you have been missing out on at a huge discount. Each weekly edition of the Football Gold Sheet is normally $15, but for the holidays, you can get every edition from now through Super Bowl 57 for just a total of $19. If you like what you see, take advantage of the super early bird pricing for next year by locking in your Football Gold Sheet subscription for 2023 for just $99. You will receive every college football and NFL edition for next season for just $99, plus a free 59 credit to use towards Gold Sheet's LTS picks at WagerTalk. Instructions for redeeming your WagerTalk credit will be sent shortly after your purchase. Just go to goldsheet.com, click the Buy Now button, choose a 2022 Football Gold Sheet for $19, and lock yourself in through the Super Bowl 57.
Let's bring in Ariel and Andy. Yep, I'm fired up, and that's because it's Andy Lang's birthday on Friday. Only at WagerTalk do we give you presents on our birthdays. Andy Lang, you're going to be like 47 on Friday, and we've got some fun swag to give out to some of your favorite customers. So what I want you guys to do is wish Andy a happy birthday in the comments section. Then on Friday during Prop It Up, Andy is going to pick 3 winners. You guys are going to get a nice little WagerTalk pullover. And I believe that's one of our stress footballs. Coco ate mine, so I wouldn't know about those. But that being said, Andy, Ariel, welcome in. I cannot believe that, the NFL season as far as the regular season is almost over, but we've still got some more winners to pick. Andy, you want to give us an update on your first quarters, or are we going to pass?
We're getting into the end of the year, and books are starting to lower the first quarter total below 7 in some of these. So
wow.
when you see some of these games that are 6.5, I just like to play it cautious and kind of stay away from those. So the volume has dropped off, and with all of these injuries, it just adds a lot of unknowns. So I play it pretty careful. I'm a fairly cautious bettor. So some of the teams that I have been cashing on first quarter unders, I'm kind of done with when these totals are below. I mean, look, the Jaguars and Jets, it's a 36 total, and there's weather for this weekend. Cleveland may have 60-mile-an-hour gusts in the game, so I can't imagine that game is going to score too many points. A lot of unknowns, so I'm playing it cautious. If you guys have been following first quarter unders, I advise to do the same. I'm down to about 1 a week.
The birthday boy is just a little risk adverse. He brought up the Thursday night game as well, and we'll get to some best bets for that game here at the end of the segment. But Andy, what are you looking at for this weekend in the NFL?
Couple things to look at. We record this on Wednesday, so the prop numbers are not out, but it's Derrick Henry week against the Texans. He's rushed for over 200 yards in 4 straight games. 4 straight games over 200 yards against this team. So the Titans, on the other hand, have allowed 348 yards passing the last 3 games. Their secondary is absolutely atrocious. They have a ton of injuries. So a sneaky play may be Chris Moore if they're going to be without Brandon Cooks again, and if they're going to be without Collins again. Chris Moore had a ton of targets last week. He just didn't quite get as many catches as I think he should have. So you could be looking at Chris Moore over. You could also be looking at Derrick Henry overs. The Eagles, the big talk for them is obviously Jalen Hurts, but I'm looking at their passing defense. They're only allowing 172.4 yards a game this season, but just smaller sample size last 3, 131. They get the big matchup against Dallas, but Dak Prescott's best passing total this season is 284. That was against the Houston Texans. I think Dak Prescott under might be worth a play with the Eagles defense playing so good. And then Brett Rippon for the Denver Broncos, if he's going to play again, which looks like he should. He likes throwing to Jerry Jeudy. In the game he came in to relieve Russell Wilson, he only had 8 pass attempts. 4 of them went to Jerry Jeudy. And last week he had 26 pass attempts. 8 of those went to Jerry Jeudy, 7 catches for Judy. So look at your receptions over for Jerry Judy, as it looks like Rippon really likes throwing to him. So those are some things I'm looking at for this weekend.
Ms. Epstein, happy Hanukkah. I did not get my gift yet, but I'm still anxiously awaiting it. So in the meantime, can you please give me some gifts for week 16?
I think I got my gifts, but I wasn't supposed to know. Anyway, I have 2 different tight ends that you should be looking to at least not bet overs on. Haven't seen the numbers come out yet for receiving yards. Yet, if you're going to do anything, bet the under or stay away from both these tight ends. San Francisco's George Kittle and Cleveland Browns Njoku, both of them have really bad matchups. Washington is the best defense of the NFL against tight ends, and New Orleans' 3rd best defense against tight ends this year, especially when the Saints have their linebacker Pete Werner out there, which he played his first game in nearly a month last week. You got to make sure to fade all tight ends up against the New Orleans Saints. The only reason in previous weeks that tight ends had more success was because Werner was out, and his job's the one to cover those tight ends. Go fade Njoku this week and Kittle this week when it comes to tight end markets.
All right, birthday boy, we've got a stellar matchup on Thursday night. I need a reason to watch this game. Please give me your best bet.
Well, this is on DraftKings. I think they're kind of overreacting here with the weather, and I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars to score over 1.5 touchdowns. I've been looking at the weather for this week, and first off, it's not going to be cold. It's going to be around 50 degrees, and it doesn't look like it's going to be windy. It looks like sustained winds about 15 miles an hour inside the stadium, no big deal. It is going to be wet, and it's going to be rainy. I think the books have just overreacted here. This number is normally 2.5 team touchdowns. So they drop it down to 1.5 at a little bit of juice. And I'm a believer in what I'm seeing from Trevor Lawrence and Jacksonville. I mean, 40 points against Dallas, 36 against the Titans. They've only not gone over 1.5 touchdowns one time this year. That was way back in early October. So I think the books have taken a little bit too much of an aggressive approach here with the weather. I don't think it's going to prevent touchdowns. And as we see sometimes with rain, the ball could be slick. That could cause some turnovers that may actually help the Jaguars. I love what Trevor Lawrence is doing. I love the coaching staff. I don't think this Jets defense is going to have a huge advantage in the rain. As we know, when receivers come out of their breaks, they know where they're going. The defense has to try and adjust in wet conditions. Don't be surprised if Jacksonville has a pretty good game on offense. So give me over 1.5 touchdowns. And Kelly, if I can just give a little piece of advice, if you're going to schedule a first date with somebody, don't be 40 minutes late. It's wrong on so many levels.
Wow. Ariel Epstein, I need your best bet for Thursday night football, please.
My best bet, stay away from men. No, just kidding. So New York Jets quarterback
that is actually a great bet. I highly recommend it. I know that 99% of the people right now watching this show are men. I think I can say that. Anyway,
they don't like us either. It's just that you have to have each other. It's just like I have to, like, you win or you lose with them or without them, whatever. Anyway, that's why you have to just keep making money, because you can't rely on other people for your money. That's the key. Zach Wilson, the Jets quarterback, to go over. His passing yards and his rushing yards are the 2 plays that stood out to me. I'll have total tackle props coming out tomorrow. I'm just way too lazy to do it right now. That is full disclosure. Anyway, Zach Wilson is up against the defense that is atrocious against the pass. The Jaguars allow the 4th most passing yards per game to quarterbacks. Wilson has actually had success against bad pass defenses. Pittsburgh, Miami, Detroit, 3 out of the 4 that he's faced that are bottom 10 against the pass had over this number of 204.5 passing yards. I know the weather's not great. However, these teams aren't great. So you could see some good opportunity for Wilson to attack the air. And then I also like his rushing yards, because Jacksonville is bottom 10 in the league in rushing yards allowed to quarterbacks. I've seen a lot of different quarterbacks go over 12.5 rushing yards. And that includes someone like a Ryan Tannehill, Dak Prescott. They all were in the range of about 20 rushing yards. So if you get 2 to 4 different carries by Wilson, because let's just say receivers can't get open or it's bad weather and he just wants to run with the football, Wilson has had success running the ball. He 2 weeks ago had 26 rushing yards against the New England Patriots, who are a defense that struggle against mobile quarterbacks in general. So I would go with his over on rushing yards and passing yards for Zach Wilson tomorrow.
Love it. Happy birthday again to Andy Lang
Happy
at
birthday,
Bob
Andy.
Sports on Twitter. And Ariel, we love you too. At Ariel Epstein on Twitter. Make sure you give them both of them a follow.
At least someone does.
Yes. Somebody asked to love you. I guess it'll be me. We're going to take a quick commercial break. You are definitely somebody's problem. Anyway, Ariel ruined the Secret Santa surprise. In case you guys missed the inside joke earlier, I got her tickets to Morgan Wallen. And instead of saying I got you tickets to Morgan Wallen for Christmas, she opened up a T-shirt that said somebody's problem. And it's like, I don't get it. I love Morgan Wallen. Whose problem am I? I'm like, I quit. I'm never doing nice things for anybody ever again. Oh, I need this commercial break so bad. We'll see you guys in a second.
First time tuning into WagerTalk TV? How would you like a one-day all-access Picks Pass for only $1? Well, we have you covered. Bet On It gets 100,000 plus downloads, views, and listens each and every week across all platforms. From YouTube to Spotify, from Apple TV to iHeartRadio. So there's a good chance this is the first time you are tuning in, and an even better chance that you have not experienced the professional handicappers at WagerTalk and Sports Memo. And we want to change that. Whether you are new to sports betting or just tired of the game of the year and 100-unit locks, we have you covered. We leave all that nonsense for the other guys, as you won't find that here. As the most popular show on WagerTalk TV, we'd like to offer all Bet On It viewers that have not made a purchase at WagerTalk.com or SportsMemo.com this special offer. Use coupon WIN1 on a $39 one-day all-access pass and get it for only $1. So to all first-time users, just use coupon code WIN1 to get your first ever purchase at WagerTalk or SportsMemo for only $1. And welcome to the family.
Best bet time. Yeah, I went back and forth on a couple of games here, and I ultimately settled with the Giants plus 3.5. Look, I understand this Giants team has kind of been on this roller coaster ride, if you will, but Brian Dable, 8-2 against the spread as an underdog, and I love that for us, especially here with a Vikings team who, as Ralph Michaels alluded to in his Tea and Egg segment, just broke history. Oh, and by the way, also clinched the NFC North. Minnesota's defense has been suspect basically like the last 6 weeks. They've given up over 30 points in 4 of those last 6 games and only won 2 of those games. Now, I know offensively, Kirk Cousins, Justin Jefferson, they have themselves a day, but I don't know if they will against this Giants defense. And that is what I'm actually backing here. I know that they had a strong performance last week against Washington because we got to cash that nice divisional under, almost no sweat. And I expect them to show up big again here. Take the better defense plus the points. I will take the Giants plus 3.5 as my best bet for NFL Week 16. Marco D'Angelo, where are you going?
Where I'm going? Well, if you remember a couple weeks ago right here in the Best Bet segment, I pulled out one of my old plays from the playbook, and that is the injured player theory, and we're going to do it again this week. Philadelphia Eagles look to be without Jalen Hurts on Sunday, or Saturday, I should say. I can't get used to all the games on Saturday this week. But if he plays, I think it's a smokescreen right now, what they're saying that there's a chance he's going to play. I think is our producer, Dan, said pre-show, you want to have the Cowboys have to prepare for 2 quarterbacks. But if you're Philadelphia, why would you risk injury to your franchise quarterback? And as far as the backup goes, Minshew, he is a more than capable backup. And he gets in there this week. I think it's going to be a little added motivation for him playing. Yesterday, he was in Mississippi at the funeral of his former coach, Mike Leach. Very gripping eulogy he read yesterday for his coach, and should go look it up on Twitter. It was moving, and I think he's going to have a motivated game in there. Plus the fact we know the scenario with these injured teams. The rest of the team plays at a higher level the first game without the star. And as I said, Minshew is very capable. But let's look at Dallas. This is a team I don't trust. I don't care who they're playing right now. This is a team that has blown leads. Last week was inexcusable what happened to them. A couple weeks ago, they played Indianapolis. They entered the fourth quarter as a double-digit favorite, 21-19. People forget about that because all they saw was the final score of 54-19 with that crazy fourth quarter and all the turnovers by the Colts. Dallas, yeah, what do they have to play for? It's not like this is a life or death game for them. They're in the playoffs. They're not going to lose their seed as the best wild card team because the rest of the NFC sucks. They've got 10 wins. They're locked for the best seed as far as wild cards go. I'm going to take the inflated number. I think it's too much for this game. You give me Philadelphia with 4.5 for 5 points. I'm going to take them all day long. Take the injured team. That's the Eagles plus the points. And don't be surprised. I'm calling for the outright upset. I think you're going to see points in this game as well. Kelly, this is one I would be a little worried about, that divisional under in this one. I know they've been gold, but this one, I've actually got 30-27 for the final score.
Yeah, it looks absolutely, utterly terrifying to take this under. But like I said on Twitter, you can't cherry pick the system. You just got to play it. Joe Raineri, what is your best bet, NFL Week 16?
Well, we're going to look at a game we haven't talked about here, but I'm going to focus on the total. And this was close to also being a RU high. And the answer would have been not high enough because I like the over with the Cincinnati and New England Patriots. This thing opened up at 40.5. And as you can see, we're already on our way up 41.5. And listen, there are some teams that the cold might be a bit of an issue for. I can tell you right now, Joe Burrow and the Bengals is not one of them. I don't think they are going to have an issue putting up some points on this Cincinnati defense. I think as they showed last week with Derek Carr, they are capable of being beat in that secondary. And oh yeah, who do they have that they're throwing the ball to? They got a few wide receivers that would be able to exploit that secondary. The whole weather thing, throw it out the window here. I think the idea that we can't get at least what their season average is right now, 24 points or more from Cincinnati, I think you absolutely can. And you know what? I think New England is going to be capable. They've got a lot of injuries now in that Cincinnati defense here. They were hurt last week. They didn't have Hendrickson. They didn't have two of their starting defensive backs. They lost another guy in the game against Tampa. So they are thin in that defensive, especially in the secondary of the Cincinnati Bengals. So if you're not going to be able to get to Mac Jones, I think he's going to have some success over the top. And when you put it all together, New England knows they're going to have to score because we have certainly seen Cincinnati is capable of doing it. I think over. I think 41.5, way too low here. I'm going up and over with the New England-Cincinnati Bengals game.
All right, love it, love it, love it. Now it's time for our last commercial break, which I also love the most of this show. When we come back, it's time for the recap.
In the spirit of the holidays, we want you to celebrate with your favorite WagerTalk or Sports Memo handicappers and do it at a discount by giving you a one-time 25% off everything you can fit into your cart between now and midnight on December 25th using coupon code GIFT25 when checking out. While this coupon can only be used once at WagerTalk and once at Sports Memo, the value is unlimited and there is no limit on what you can add to your cart when redeeming. Daily, all access, season, pick your team, and even mix and match handicappers as the combinations are endless. Remember, there is no limit to the number of handicappers at WagerTalk and Sports Memo you can lock in, but coupon code GIFT25 will expire at midnight on Christmas. On behalf of everyone at WagerTalk, Sports Memo, and Gold Sheet, we want to thank you for supporting us in 2022 by watching our videos, following us on social media, and trusting us with your wagers. However you celebrate, we wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Welcome back to Bet On. It's now time for the NFL Week 16 recap. We've got 3 primetime games starting off with Thursday night. Jacksonville at the New York Jets. Give Joe the money line in the first half. Marco says he'll lay the one for the full game. And I probably am just going to end up with that Jacksonville teaser because that's how I like to bet the NFL. Las Vegas, Pittsburgh. You know, Joe and I talked about those teasers, and I also teased Las Vegas, but Marco nailed it as far as a, well, I don't want to say narrative because it's the wrong word, but with the passing of one of the Steeler greats, I do think that we see this Pittsburgh team really step up. I thought it was going to be Mitch Trubisky. It sounds like it will be Kenny Pickett for this one. I'll lay the 2.5 with Pittsburgh and Marco D'Angelo in this one. And then the Sunday night primetime game, Marco says, don't overthink it, take the over, which I somewhat agree with. Joe says, Tampa Bay, just fade them in the first half here because Arizona has been a better first half team. Take the 4.5 points. Those teasers kind of all across the board. San Francisco -1, Las Vegas +8.5 for Joe. Baltimore -1.5 +8.5 with Carolina for Marco. Sandwich game, New England. I like that one. Are you high? I don't know if I like this one. I do not want the New York Giants to get in a shootout versus Minnesota over 47.5 because they're my best bet. But, it is what it is. Barking dogs, Washington +7, Green Bay +4. Philadelphia, also a barking dog for our producer, Dan. Go Birds for Marco D'Angelo. Joe Raineri's best bet, Cincinnati, New England, over 41.5. That's what we got for Christmas week. It's going to be a hell of a weekend. I cannot wait to log in on Monday morning and see how well we did. Joe, would you like to share your T-shirt since you shared your Jingle Bell sweater earlier?
I did. It's one I think we can all relate to. It basically says, don't blame the holidays. You were fat in August. So just Merry Christmas. Happy holidays.
Okay,
everyone.
great.
So,
Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Right. Happy Hanukkah. Everybody enjoy being absolutely and utterly miserable with your families like I plan on doing. Oh, no, wait. I'm going to be on a tropical island. Joke's on you guys. I think they made a movie about that one. Anyway, Marco D'Angelo, Joe Raineri, our good friend Dan, a.k.a. our producer, the Bird fan, Will, the guy that makes all these beautiful graphics, Ralph Michaels, Mr. TNA, Ariel, and Andy from the prop side of things. We appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget, drop a happy birthday with your WagerTalk username in the comments section for Andy. He's going to give out some WagerTalk swag. All right, we're going to be back on Monday, except I'm going to be on a tropical island. So I'm going to see if Ariel is going to fill in for me. We love you guys. Again, until Monday, let's bet on it.